But we don't show prep, so so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show prep.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Illustrious. Like your style.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. We reporting live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back after our 1 week vacation, our very own spring break. Took a week off, but we got a loaded show today. We got an exciting one as we've got the spring game coming up. But to be honest, the real spring game happened this past weekend, so we've got some news and notes on that. Mr. Larry Bluestein was out there at the spring practice, and I will be out there this weekend coming up. So we've got a lot of things going on there. But to be quite honest, this is the Danny Gillette show, really, right? Like this is the epitome of a Danny Gillette show right here, as the Canes got a very talented tight end commit just about an hour ago, really, basically. A 4-star commit out of Ohio, Luca Gilbert, tight end, big-time prospect, 6'7", 245 pounds already. That's a big kid. That's a huge pickup, from the area, like, beat out guys like Ohio State and Michigan and those type of teams up there in the Midwest. That's a really big time pickup because those guys typically don't leave that area if you're that good. So I love what Miami did there with that. So I want to give the floor to Mr. Danny Gillette. Let's see what he has to say about our new tight end commit, Mr. Luca Gilbert.
Well, Gilbert's a very interesting prospect. I mean, he's measured in at 6'7". He's an extremely tall tight end, but he can move, incredibly well. And a lot of his high school, film, he kind of moved out of the backfield and kind of caught passes in the flat and made runs after the catch. But that's not the only thing he was limited to. He could get in space really quickly. He's a quick mover. As soon as the ball is snapped, he immediately accelerates and is able to, find, room to catch the pass and make things happen after the catch. And he's also a very good blocker, which you kind of hope with, a size like 6'7". And, he's a really intriguing player to me because of his size. He creates mismatches in the red zone. And, like I said before, he can also create space and, lend himself to the running game in that way. So he's a great combination of a good blocker and a fantastic athlete. And, that's something that with the running game that Miami already has established. That's where the run blocking can come into play. And then in terms of his explosiveness on offense, it's just another weapon that the Hurricanes have at their disposal.
Blue, before we get to you on your assessment of Luca Gilbert as well, I just realized something, that there's already starting to some players, some big time prospects are already starting to hit the spring transfer portal. Dallin Hayden, big time running back from Ohio State, just entered transfer portal as well. I know he was a big time prospect coming out of high school. So Miami, I know, is looking for a running back, although they may not have to look too far because it seems like they got one there already that nobody was talking about really, except the people who knew what was going down in Coral Gables. But before we get to that, Luca Gilbert, Blue, a big kid, man. I mean, this is a prototypical, I would say, tight end, 6'7", 245, but a little bit bigger than your average. I mean, look at the guys now, right? Brock Bowers about 6'3". Even the guys that were here, Brevin Jordan, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3". So this kid is a monster at 6'7". Even the guys like Elijah Arroyo and Riley Williams are about 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". This kid's a big kid, 6'7", 245. Talk to me a little bit about Luca Gilbert.
Yeah, what DJ said. I mean, kid's extremely athletic. I think the last time somebody came into Miami at 6'7" as a tight end was Eric Winston.
We know what he did here.
I remember Don Bailey Jr. going over to him and watching him after the first game, and he says, "Brother, for a tight end, you're going to make a hell of an offensive tackle." And but this kid's what the great thing about him is he started out as a wide receiver, and then all of a sudden he just grew. And you can see how he runs. He runs really good patterns. Average blocker, not a great blocker, but he's going to have to learn to kind of put his hands on somebody, because Miami's offense, especially, in the running game, tight end's going to be predicated to have to block a little bit. So, but yeah, great get. Miami's just a lot of, like you said, Ohio State, Michigan was on them. Everybody was on them. And that's been a theme. And, Miami on Saturday had quite a few athletes down there. They had the kid from Georgia, the 6'5" tight end from Georgia was out there. And he certainly looked like a mountain as well. I'm telling you, they're on a roll. And, yeah, big get. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. As you mentioned, the portal's opened up. It's going to be like the NFL this weekend. Saturday, spring games nationwide. Sunday, going to be cut down day. Then Monday starts the process. Miami's got 11. If they're going to add kids, they have to get down to 15 scholarships over the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
They have to cut down 15 because they got 9 or 10 now that they're over. Plus, if they're going to add somebody, they're going to probably have and obviously there's a lot of positions I think that need to be shored up. And they need to, like you said, they need to go in the portal for a marquee receiver if there is one. Got to get another offensive and defensive lineman. Got to get secondary help. Corners are thin. So there's a lot of shopping to go on, but I was walking around and trying to figure out who would go.
It's interesting that you said that, right? Because which is it's a good segue. It's a good segue for that. You were able to catch the spring. Yeah, what we really know was the actual spring scrimmage, right? Like that's where where nobody gets to see the good stuff, except a select few of people that get to go out there to the practice and whatnot. And I know a lot of the fans are going to be able to see them, go at it a little bit this weekend.
Yeah.
And for the official spring scrimmage, but there's a lot to be excited about. But there's also things that we need to bring in. We need to bring in some help for depth purposes, right? So one being that wide receiver position, the defensive backs definitely. You definitely want some more depth. Although you've got some good depth at offensive line, you still need some more. And some other positions as well. So I definitely want to kind of go through that in just a second. Vish, buenas tardes. Look at you, man, wearing the new hat, which I do like a lot. That is a
Yeah.
very nice hat.
Anytime they release a new hat, I purchase it. So
Gonna have
Nice.
to go see Harry over there at the official
The official team
Miami.
store, yeah.
The official
I
team
think you
store.
purchased this when you were there, when we were there together, right?
Yeah, you might have.
Yeah, I think I
you're
might have bought this in your presence.
right. Goes to show.
It's
I mean,
Jazz
where my
Santana
head's at.
approved. Well, I mean, I literally have like a million hats, so it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, no kidding. I get you, man. We got the spring scrimmage coming up now. I know we were talking offline with Blue and DJ about some of the guys that we were excited about. This is an opportunity for Miami to, again, just continue to create separation at some positions and build some depth at some positions. With guy, look, obviously they're still going after some big time prospects. Luca Gilbert is a big time kid, but even for this year's class with the transfer portal and all that, there's going to be some really, really, really interesting names after this weekend popping up on our end, and and some guys that we're going to look to get. Is there anything in particular that's kind of piqued your interest on this football team that you say, well, yeah, they're going to have to do some things to kind of shore up that position for you to feel comfortable as not only as a fan but someone that covers a team? Who are some of the guys that potentially could be casualties of the transfer portal that the fans are going to be disappointed by or maybe be surprised by? But for us, it's just kind of like, we saw this kind of come, and don't be surprised. It could happen again.
Well, I think we're going to see some receivers hit the portal. We have a lot of, as Blue said, we don't have that A+ receiver, but we have a lot of B and C receivers, and there's only one ball to go around. And if we're actually, planning on using the tight end more, which it looks like we are, that's less balls to go to receivers. So there's a pretty big log jam there. Like I still think there are guys that haven't really played significantly for a few years that are still kicking around, like Michael Redding, that I would expect to hit the portal. Some of them are sticking around because, they can graduate, so they want to do that. So that's why they wouldn't have hit the portal earlier, get through spring ball. They'll finish out the semester at Miami anyway, get their degree, and then go. So I think you're going to see a second. Some of the guys are like, how come that guy's not in the portal? If you look at a lot of them, they are, either redshirt juniors, which means they've been in college 4 years, or juniors that might be a little bit advanced academically. They can graduate. So if they hit the portal in December and transfer, they don't get a degree out of that because they go immediately. So I think I'm assuming this is a risk given some of the stuff kicking around the athletic department lately. But I'm assuming a base level of competence here where they kind of know, to Blue said, we're probably looking at 15 got to go. I think Ballum's another one that's probably gone. But there's about 15 need to go if we're going to get compliant with the 85 total and also add some talent, like Blue mentioned. I think probably corner and offensive line are the big targets. I think everyone's a little edgy about the left guard position right now. So I think that's one. And then, we don't have a lot of depth at corner. So those are the two I think we'll look at. So we're probably looking to bring in, 3, 4, maybe even 5 guys, and we're way over already. So you start looking at the positions where we just have a lot of, I think, receivers. I think we'll see multiple receivers in the portal. We just have a lot of bodies there, and only one ball.
And not many guys that have been able to really kind of like Blue said. Although before I even get into that, by the way, speaking of the transfer portal, Chance Williams committed to Charlotte today too. So former Miami Hurricane is now playing over at the University of Charlotte. So good for him. That's another it's a defensive end prospect. Obviously that defensive end position is pretty loaded right now. So look, the offensive line position, I think from besides the guy who's going to start at left guard, there's a couple of options, which is nice to see, but you still need some depth there. And you probably need to see maybe a little more depth at the center position also. I know that's a big topic of conversation, how well Zach Carpenter is kind of picking up, not necessarily picking up the offense, but how well he's doing against the defensive line. There's been some concerns there on his strength, I guess, per se, and some other things. So all these guys that you've mentioned here, Fresh, Balaam, Washington, Dennis, maybe even Nigel League. That might be a tough one. It will be a surprise, but again, it wouldn't be. Chase, yeah, Chase. As much as I love Chase, he's a kid that. Here's the only thing with Chase as well. I don't think that he goes anywhere. He's been hurt. It's not that has sat out, right, and not been able to play. He's been hurt. And so when you get a guy that's been hurt for a long time and he's finally healthy and he's starting to make some noise, then he may be a guy that is going to get an opportunity, right, to really showcase his talent this year. Sangopoli, yeah, there's a lot of names. You probably can throw out a lot of names there that are going to make sense, and a lot of names that are going to be surprises but I could definitely see it happen. So
yeah, it's hard to get to like 10 to 15 without some of the guys being like, that
right.
guy's going to go, but that's going to happen. I mean,
but if you think about it, the minute you start naming them, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you got to 10 fast, right? You got
you're going to get to some guys that you don't expect to leave as well. So that's just the reality of it. Welcome to, as Blue said, welcome to the NFL of college football.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cut down day. You got a budget. In this case, it's scholarships. You got to get under the cap. So.
Blue, it's a Wild Wild West out there. It's a Wild Wild West, especially now.
Well, in a way it is. In a way it's structured because you have a day you have to be at 85. It's very similar. Like Blue used the NFL analogy. Yeah. Instead of getting to a salary cap and roster limit, there isn't a salary cap. But there is a roster limit. Right. By the date you have to get down to 85. You got to cut people. It's the same thing. We got too many players at your position. You got to go because you can't hold that scholarship. So, in a way, it's very similar.
Blue, talk to me, man. You got to see the scrimmage this weekend or practice, whatever you want to call it. A lot of us know that's where they really start to bang, and you start to see some separation. You start to see the talent kind of separate from everything else. I have a question for you because you mentioned before we even get to the biggest topic of the night. I do you feel like we've mentioned there isn't a wide receiver one on this team. There isn't a guy. Do you feel like that's a little bit of a slap in the face or a little bit of disrespect towards Xavier Restrepo, considering right that the country has him like as a top 5, top 10 wide receiver in the country? Like he's that dude though, right? So
he's the dude, but he's not Rambo. He doesn't take the top off of the defense. He's not going to go 80 yards on a ball. He's not going to, did what Johnny Wilson did for FSU but he's a 90 catch, 80 catch type of kid though. He's a slot and that's what he is. I mean, there's very few teams, like you look at Ohio State, it's their wide receivers. It's not their slot kids. Their slot kids make the engine go, but they're not considered as the number one receiver. I mean, first of all, Restrepo's not going to get the number one corner in the country to cover him. He's mostly going to get a safety linebacker to jam him and then a safety over the middle. And that's where he is. Or even if he goes out, they're going to take the out and run him in and draw the corner away. So he's never going to get a corner coverage. So, but all your great wide receivers do get corner coverage. So I don't know. It's just me. Maybe I just don't think Jacoby George is that dude. He's not a guy that's going to fly into the huddle and get into, the quarterback's face and say, hey, dude, I'm open every play. He's not going to do that. So he needs somebody like that. And Rambo did that all the time. Just throw it to me. I'll get it. And you need that type of guy. That's going to make the world go round.
Well, if you look at some of the guys, right, that have been those guys recently in recent years, not only on our team, but just like the top receivers in the country, the Marvin Harrisons of the world. You look at some of the guys that have been at Clemson. You look at some of the Alabama guys, right? The the Judys and guys like that.
Yeah,
it's a type of look of a receiver. You either got it or you don't. You need a guy with look. Jeremiah Smith is the next
Oh,
big
yeah.
thing over
He's the
at
next
Ohio
first
State,
round
right?
draft pick early on.
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely.
He's wowing the entire team over there. So even kids like Tate and what's his name from here, they marvel because
Man, it is.
Brandon Innes, yeah.
yeah, he's abusing potential Big Ten All-American corners.
Yeah.
So
And that's what you need, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that I think when it comes to wide receiver one, I think JoJo Trader has that potential.
oh yeah,
But again, he's a freshman, right? But he's already kicking ass in practice now. He's dominating a lot of the reps, a lot of wide receivers. He's beating a lot of guys one-on-one. But again, if you want to get that guy, it's going to be tough to get that wide receiver one, a la Marvin Harrison type of guy in the portal right now at this point. But you still might get a guy that's going to command that. That's going to command, their best corner to cover him every game, and that's
right.
what you want. I mean, look, the truth is, Kobe Young could have been that guy.
Could have.
His inconsistencies are what and his lack of he would take plays off. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it was, right?
But you remember the year that they got Rambo.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have left Oklahoma if they didn't have 9 stars. I mean, they had all those big-time kids that came in, and he was regarded as one of the best receivers. So he figured if I go to Miami, that could happen. There's a lot of good programs right now where there's a couple of guys maybe say, hey, listen, I should be getting a lot more reps, and you may end up with them.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's going to be interesting to see. Speaking of that, talk to me a little bit about what you saw in this weekend's practice, this weekend's scrimmage, that really kind of stood out to you more than anything else.
Well, I thought the offensive line play was pretty decent. You look at some of the kids they've got on there, and obviously, because I don't think that's a major concern, because as when you figure out a couple of guys and get some depth, I thought Wesley Bassant, he's gained 20 pounds. He looks like a man. He's up to 226 now, around that 230. He's a man now. So, and that helps. I mean, you need, because but unfortunately, that's what a lot of these kids come in as now, 225 but he's at that level, but he's really athletic. He's smart. So I thought Zaquan Patterson, but we've been singing his praises since, day one. He's gonna be another dude. He's not. See, when you got a freshman and they get in there and they look like they're seniors, because they're the way they carry themselves, and if they make a play, it's not like they're getting crazy. They expected to make that play.
Right.
Well, the number one guy on that team who is expecting to make a play his name is Elijah Lofton, and I will tell you this: I never have been turned on by a kid so much, because you look at what he is. He's 17. And then you look at what he brings to the table. Everybody's been talking about him. Brevin Jordan said, hey, listen, this kid's at a whole different level. And the day that Miami signed him, everybody said that has watched him, they stole him. They stole this kid and brought him all the way across country. And I'm telling you, he impressed me to the point where he's if that was a scrimmage, he was the MVP. He ran that ball like he's
running back, right? He played a lot of running back. As we've spoken about on this show, if any of you have watched it, this kid is a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all.
Yeah.
But if he's your starting running back, he might be one of the best running backs in the conference. That's how good he is already.
And then if he's your starting H-back, he's probably one of the best starting H-backs. And I watched him as they were warming up. He threw the ball 58 yards on a rope. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, he's DJ Dallas on steroids. And, because DJ was the same way. DJ can come in and play 11,000 different positions. And this is the type of guy, you watch him and they all gravitate towards him. It's weird to see guys who've been there for 4 years, come over there and just, and they will shake their head. I mean, this guy shouldn't be able to break a tackle, cut outside and outrun everybody. That doesn't happen. I mean, we're talking, you and I watched last year in that spring or whatever, that scrimmage that they had in Hard Rock. And we saw, what's his name, EJ running the ball, and he did a lot of those things. But imagine him being 6'5", 6'1", and weighing 230 and doing it.
Yeah.
This kid, and you look at him, and I think that, they every day they probably finish practice and the offensive people go upstairs and they go, oh my God, we got fortunate here, because they did. And there's just, I was talking to some of the coaches, and there's just no way that he won't be in the mix from day one. I mean, he may make significant plays in the Florida game that'll put him on the national map right away, and there's no way you'll ever get him out of there again. Yeah. He's just that type. And there's guys that are like that. The game is not too big for him. That's the whole thing. Like Jeremiah and those type of guys. I'm not comparing him to Jeremiah, but for what he does and what he's going to do, I'm telling you, he's just, and I stood 5 feet from the guy for the whole day. And his emotions they never change. He doesn't get high. He doesn't get low. He's not like a typical freshman, who, slapping himself for missing this or missing that. And you watch him.
He's making one-handed catches out there, and he's beating guys off the line. It's
amazing. It's he's not afraid to lay you out either. There was a couple of plays where safety was coming up, and he just, welcome to Miami type stuff. Ooh.
I love it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he caught my eye all day, and I watched him all day and he never came out. Yeah. He played. They went for about an hour and a half inside, maybe 2 hours, and then he went for an hour out. He was just as fresh from inside as he was outside. And yeah, and you had big time guys like there. You had the kid Hilton from Mandarin, and you had Romello Height, and you had all these guys that are out there because it played into a perfect thing that Rivals' only camp this year in Florida was here. So, and that was yesterday on Sunday. So a lot of these kids came early, Buchanan, who got along really well with the coaching staff, and Clayton, the quarterback out of Seminole, he was standing with Dawson, and, it was great to see high level kids who were watching, these guys that, hey, I played against that dude last year, and look, he's playing. So that gives you another opportunity. And they had a really good visit from a lot of these kids, and it was a perfect time, to have that group down there like that. And I was, but I'm not going to skirt that Miami needs a lot of work. They do. They're just not a deep team. And that's hopefully will be remedied. And but believe me, I feel a whole lot better than I did last year at this time.
Well, there's someone in the chat here that's talking a lot about Cole McConaughey.
Yeah, another kid. How
did he look?
Very good. Lost a couple of battles there, but he is a guy that, and just talking to some of the coaches, and they said if he makes a mistake, he won't make it again. And that's what you need. And he's going to make mistakes. He's 18 years old, and he's, but he looks every bit of Colin McCarthy. Oh boy, I'll tell you. And Dan Morgan in that number 44 jersey. I'll tell you that. And he's a big kid. And you could tell just the way the coaches talk about these kids. Yeah, he did. He's another guy that's going to get some playing time, especially because of the lack of depth on it. Not going to be starter, obviously, but he's going to be in there. Nice looking kid too. Good.
I've got someone that I want to know about. Is Trevante Citizen, the running back position, obviously with
he ran
Fletcher out. He's probably the guy, right, that everybody wants to see.
Little tentative at times, to hit the hole, right. But you could see, that he's, if he continues to work and he's going to, because remember, they lost Parrish. He's not around anymore. So, I mean, there's this, and Fletcher's out. Who knows how long he's going to be out? I talked to some people and said that the injury was a lot more serious than, than a lower extremity injury, like they always try to pass off.
Right.
So if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of guys that they're going to have to get in there and, don't be surprised if you see.
Yeah, I mean, if he's out for.
He's out until summer, definitely. But
that we know. But like, if it's longer than that, then
because they didn't lead on Vish, they haven't. When he got hurt, they acted like it was really, okay, he'll be back. But
right.
I mean, they always do. I mean, I don't understand the purpose of it, but I mean, you can't believe. Just to be honest, you can't believe anything with sand injuries. I mean, it's time and again been proven. They'll say something, and then, I mean. Mesidor was about to suit up last year and then was out for the year, like a day later after that press conference. I mean, it's Citizen. They kept dressing him, never saw the field. Like, you don't
playing games, but
either
tell us what it is or what. Don't.
Yeah, I don't understand what the big deal about it is.
I don't either. I mean, if he's hurt, he's hurt. But that's why I think there's going to be a need for a marquee back, and there'll be a couple I think that are going to come out. For the reasons that I mentioned, the reason why, that the kid from Nebraska left and came here because of the fact that, he was odd man out.
Yep.
Doesn't mean he's not good, but he's just, and that's going to happen. I think you're going to see that a lot. And especially it's a lot more, the transfer portal now is a lot more transparent. So who's in there. And and they know who, like if they look at a Miami or an Ohio State or whatever, and they'll say, oh, wait a minute, they need a running back. So I'm going to get significant carries, significantly more than where I'm at now.
Well, not only that, but I mean, look, the guys that are obviously, Trevante Citizen, Chris Johnson, Hellcat, you've got AJ Allen, you've got some of those guys, Jordan Lyle, who's not even here yet. Who's every bit looking like a starting, back himself, right? He's a big kid already. So you've got some talent there, but you don't, like you said, Blue, it's Mark Fletcher is your big time back there. I know everybody talks about Citizen being that guy, but he hasn't played yet. And then you're talking about, putting all your chips in on Elijah Lofton. As good as he looked, he's still a freshman also, right? So you need a little bit more than just him if he's going to play running back, if Fletcher's going to be out a significant amount of time. So you're definitely going to have to go out and see if you can get some more depth. Running back is that kind of position. Vish always spoke about it. We all spoke about it a couple of years ago when we thought we were loaded at running back, and then everybody got hurt. And then we had what's his face from Alabama, Birmingham.
Luscious.
Luscious Stanley getting a million carries in the game. So it's not a knock on him. It's just,
if you're at a major program and you're down tier walk-ons, regardless of how good the walk-ons are, then that's a problem. Yeah,
absolutely. So I hope that Lofton continues to ball out. I can't wait to see him this weekend. The wide receivers is something that I'm going to pay close attention to because Blue, you mentioned it, man. It's Jacoby George and Zay Horton, Ray, the Washington brother, Nye Carr. You got those guys, JoJo Trader. You're going to want to see those guys play, but who's going to kind of step up? Who's going to separate themselves as the number one? And we don't know yet, right? It's obviously X is your by default wide receiver one. But you need guys on the outside that are going to take the top off for cornerbacks and beat them off the line, and who's going to be those guys? We'll see. It's all about consistency. So I'm interested to see.
But is it not supposed to be Jacoby George?
It's supposed to be, right? Yeah, it's supposed to be. I just don't know. I don't know, man.
If his head's on right.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. On the defensive side of the ball, the cornerback position. Cornerback position, Blue, you mentioned it being, there's not a lot of depth there right now. Got Damari Brown, Darryl Porter. I mean, I can't even think of a lot of guys. Freeney and Robert Stafford, who could play safety as well. Who am I missing? I don't even know. I'm probably missing a couple of guys, but that just goes to show you we are lacking some depth there, and quite frankly, there needs to be more guys there that can compete with these guys. So I'd be interested to see how they perform. Yeah, I mentioned Freeney. Rashard, there we go. That's right, Jadaeus Rashard. I can't believe I forgot his name, or Jadaeus Richard, whatever you want to call him. He actually has been looking good in the spring, from what I understand. So, but you still need some more options there. Blue, do you expect them to go into the transfer portal and pick up at least one or two guys?
Easily.
Yeah, right.
Easily. They have to. It's definitely a position in need. And it's almost imperative that you have to. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, but there's not. You need quality, especially with the receivers that they go against in the ACC. There's some pretty good kids. So, yeah, they're just. It's amazing, and when that a lot of these kids. I mean, I was reading. I saw a lot of injured guys on the side, like Dennis, who, like the guy's good kid, but he's not going to be here. He's just not. He hasn't. You have to. They can't afford to hold on to guys anymore, just because. They just can't.
Well, they definitely can't now because they got to get down to a certain.
No, that's what I'm saying, and there's a lot of. You look down the roster. And, you could probably make a case for everybody why, he ain't going to go because,
Yeah, you can always say that. Yeah, for sure.
No, I know. And Ja'Cory Brown is the classiest guy in the world, but he's not. He'll be gone. Whereas, that quarterback room right now is stupid. I mean, it looks like a starting NBA forwards. I mean, they're all 6'5", and you got the kid Judd Anderson, who throws a really good ball. And I'll tell you what, Emery's right back. I mean, he's throwing the ball real well, and he looks good. And Paffenberger could throw the ball 90 yards, and they got kids.
Blue, I like that you mentioned that because I kind of want to get everybody's take on this one. The quarterback position primarily. There's been talk out there. Some people are, are just kind of disappointed, right? And this is because they play the card of, he's been here for so long. How are you going to do this to him? He's kind of waited his turn. The problem is, if someone comes in and he's better than you, he's better than you.
Yeah.
Right? If Reese Poffenbarger is better than you, brother, he's better than you. If Emory Williams is coming in and he's balling and he understands it's the nuances of the playbook and he's executing, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? So if you fall in the third and fourth string quarterback, it's not a knock. It's not something to be like, well, he sucks. And no, he's just, these guys got it. They understand it. It's got nothing else to do with the fact that these guys are better than you. Bottom line. So if you got to transfer, you got to go somewhere else to get an opportunity to start, maybe at a group of 5 school. Whatever you got to do.
You can always leave again and go to a Power 5 school in this disoriented world of the NIL and transfer portal. And
this is exactly what Fresh says. It's business. This is business. It's a business decision. And quite frankly, look, if he is in the doghouse for some of the things that he said in those podcasts and all that, well, that's part of being a college athlete nowadays. You got to watch what you say and who you say it to. But that's got nothing to do. If he's out there and he's outperforming everybody, then he's going to get a fair shot. And that's exactly what they've given him. And to be quite honest with you, if Poffenbarger and Emery and even Judd are doing what they got to do, it's not going to get any easier next year either, because you got Luke Nickel coming in and you've got, God knows who else might come in or who else is going to transfer. You don't know. And so I would try to say that don't be surprised if Jakari Brown transfers.
Oh
right?
no, he's gonna.
I
I
he's
think
gone.
it's and they love him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a model guy. He's a
right.
great kid in the classroom. He's a leader. You know, the kids love him. He's just not a producer. Not in this offense. And
You're also only going to carry so many quarterbacks, and he's
yeah, I agree. You know, so I mean, and I'm sure if he goes to a place where he can get in there and, you know, whether it's an FCS school or not, who cares? As long as he can get like a Middle Tennessee State or one of those schools like that, get the heck in there.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's, from what I understand, he's like 18 credits away from graduating.
So there you go.
Yeah. And that's a, you know, you look at Restrepo and Reading, they played the University of Miami.
Right.
Reading and Restrepo will walk out of here with their master's degree. And you can't ask for anything better than that. And, you know, Reading is not a producer either. He was coming out of high school. He was a freak. He just never got any better. You know, but yeah, it's frustrating because we want all these kids to work out and they don't always work out.
Vish and DJ, what are your take on the quarter? I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, Vish, already, but your take on this quarterback position, you know, who you think is potentially going to transfer out? Is it Jakari Brown at this point? It looks like he's the one.
Yeah, I think
he's the
it's
odd
pretty
man
much.
out.
I don't think there's really another option. Embry's not going to, and the other two guys are new. They're not going to already hit the portal. So, and he's also probably the player that has the best options. Out of obviously Cam Ward's also not transferring, but just because, you know, he brings a dynamism to the position where we're not really using it.
Right.
Like if you look at we want frankly more of a pocket quarterback, as Kermit mentioned, you know, works better in an RPO offense where he can also, you know, run more and have design runs and all that. We don't really do that. So this just isn't a good fit for him. And so if you're, you know, another school and you're looking at there like, all right, he's got the raw talent, he's got the athleticism, like I can do something with this. So I think you'll have a lot of options. So he's the one that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. DJ, you think anything different?
I think Brown as well. I mean, when you talk about not necessarily what he brings at quarterback, but just his overall athleticism and his skills, from his speed to his ability to, you know, again, you know, turn on the jets and get to that second level when he's running with the football, he still does have a lot to offer for another team. I just think with the way the quarterback room is right now for the Hurricanes, there really isn't a fit for him here. You know, I would say that Brown would definitely be the odd man out, not because he's not talented, but just because the quarterback room is kind of already established a little bit more so than it has been in the last couple seasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you guys on that too. I mean, Fresh and who was it? Fresh and who else was it that was giving us a breakdown on every single player that's going to transfer? Apparently, it was just.
I think it was pretty much Fresh.
Yeah,
there's quite a bit in here.
Jeez.
We're down to 20 scholarship players at this point. Once Fresh got done with the roster.
I know.
Like, if we have any issues, just hand Fresh the red pen. You'll deal with it. If Mario's got problems getting us to 85,
we had this a special show.
Just give him a red pen in the roster sheet. You'll get us down there.
No sympathy.
Oh boy, that's awesome. Before we kind of get out of here, what are some of the things that you guys want to see, DJ? We'll start with you on this. You know, in the spring game, hopefully you'll be able to catch it on ESPN.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be on there. So,
Oh yeah.
What are some of the things you want to see in this spring game from Miami?
I want to see Cam Ward. I mean, I've been harping Cam Ward all offseason, and I want to see him play. I want to see what kind of, you know, you talk about dynamic playmaking ability. You know, I want to see what he could bring under center for the offense a little bit. I want to see how the running back room kind of shapes out. And also, like we talked about earlier in the show, you know, can anybody emerge as a number one wide receiver? It's very hard, in my opinion, to gauge a number one wide receiver just based off of a spring game performance. But can anybody really separate themselves from the rest of the pack and at least put together a good showing that they could carry over into fall camp. Because, although spring games aren't the be all end all, they could serve as a catalyst for, better things, or, a player, kind of getting on the right track before fall camp starts. And then there's often some carryover. So can any of these wide receivers stand out during the spring game and carry it over into fall camp? That's something I'll be watching for as well.
Vish.
Yeah, I'm looking at just from an offensive standpoint, formationally, if we make any, substantive changes the last year. Again, we keep loading up on tight ends, and we basically did not throw to them last year. No, it's so like, what are we doing? There must be a plan there.
Yeah,
I've been wondering the same thing, Vish. I mean,
because we rarely had two on the field. When we did, it was just to run behind them. So like, you don't bring in this much tight end talent, and we keep doing and today just keep reaching in there. And so I'm interested to see, like, are we gonna throw more to the tight ends? Are we gonna get more of them on the field somehow? Maybe use them as an H-back more, but again, to throw to them, because using them as last year was pretty much using them as glorified linemen.
Yeah,
and yet we keep bringing more and more in. So there must be a plan there.
If there's anybody that wants to see this come to fruition, it's Danny Gillette.
I can't believe he didn't go there. He left the door open for me to run through.
I did, but at the same time, like, just
DJ doesn't want to get typecast. So
I don't want to get typecast, but I'm sure I already have by some of the viewers. But anyway,
to me, it's the biggest split between the amount of talent we keep targeting a position and the way we're using it. Which is
especially with the commitment of Luca Gilbert today. Their recruiting pitch must have been pretty solid, or they must have had some sort of plan for him, as it relates to his future in the offense. So there's got to be something coming soon, right?
The recruiting pitches, the tight ends we have are crap. So come on in.
Look, did they throw to the tight ends this weekend? Did you see them?
A couple times.
Yeah.
But Carver's another guy that hasn't done anything.
Yeah, that's another kid that I could probably see moving on.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, Arroyo's. I just like to see him get back to 80%. Because I think he could be really a valuable guy in that offense. Because again, we talk about this all the time. You look back really at the last two coordinators that they've had in their history with tight ends have been awesome.
Right.
just not here. So yeah, I mean, even again, you look at Lashley, what he's doing at SMU with his tight ends, he's doing pretty good with them. So it's the thing I'm looking for is for them to use the speed. Let's get Ray. Let's get Chris Johnson. Let's get those kids that got that 4.27, 4.3 speed that are going to ultimately separate, Miami from the rest of the pack. Robbie Washington. Get his ass off the shelf. Use him. These guys are here for a reason. And they're ready. Chris Johnson's ready. I think he's learned now that he can't bounce everything outside. He's running a little more tackle to tackle, which needs to be. And if you get Ray in space, he's going to abuse the secondary because of his speed, because of his athleticism. He put on a few pounds too, which is good. And then like I said, Robbie Washington is that ultimate Swiss Army knife. He really is, because and I know why they use Restrepo on punt returns, because of his ability to catch the ball. But he's averaging like 4 yards a return. You need a dynamic punt returner. And obviously, kick return wise, to me, if Robbie Washington and Ray aren't back there, or Chris Johnson, you're wasting those guys. Because figure this, by the time Chris Johnson gets the ball coming out, let's say at the 1, by the time anybody's near him, he's up at the 24, 25 already.
Right.
So those things are huge. I can understand they want to hold on to the ball, but got to have more confidence, in other guys to be your punt returner. Because if there's a punt, and, a lot of times last year, I think that Xavier just caught it to catch it. There was a couple of them that maybe he could have picked it and, maybe moved to right, left, got a seam. But you can't just have negative yardage or 2 yards or on a punt return because they're giving you back the ball, especially if they're punting from their own 12 or 15 and you're getting the ball at the 38, 40, your own 40. Hell, you should be taking that thing across midfield every time. You look at some of the opponents that they play and they do it. So, I mean, but to answer the question, I want to see the speed. I want to see the guys that you got here to turn this program around because of their speed.
Yep. I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go the defense. I want to see the linebackers. Who's going to step up at linebacker? Kiko Maunoa is out for this game. Is it going to be Chase Smith in the middle? Is it going to be Popo? Is it going to be Pulliam? Is it going to be the other Washington brother who looks the part
Wesley,
as well?
Wesley, I think, will be
Wesley,
the
Yep. No, of course. Wesley, I'm really intrigued as to see Cam Pruitt. I want to see Cam Pruitt as well, Bobby Pruitt, whatever you want to call him. I want to see the linebackers kind of play. I know what I'm going to get. I don't want to say I know what I'm going to get from the defensive line, but the defensive line is pretty stacked up. They've got a lot of talent up there on the outside and on the inside. So you've got a lot of talent there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, guys like Josh Horton and Ahmad Moten and those guys kind of step up in the middle. You know what you're going to get with JHH and, some of the
But
other
he's
guys.
been hurt. He gets hurt too much there, Jazz.
Right.
That's a thing. He's consistently banged up, and you can't be that way. I mean,
well, that's why I like the depth there. I think the depth is all right. I think they might go after maybe one more guy. They still got Thomas Gore, who did a serviceable job last year also. And you can still kick some guys in like Mesidor, and you can kick Bain in on your rush packages and get some other speed guys outside. So you've got some options there. Jaden Wayne is another one. I know they spoke about him earlier, who's got some good weight on him. Long kid, but he's also leaned out and he's gotten a little bit stronger from what I hear. Cole McConaughey is another kid, right? So you've got those guys. I mean, I don't think is Lightfoot in here. Is Lightfoot here already? I don't think he's here yet, right?
No.
Marquise Lightfoot and Booker Pickett. Those guys I don't think are there yet.
Booker was there, but he was his dad took him.
Right. But he's not practicing. He's not.
No.
Yeah, he hasn't enrolled yet. So obviously those guys, again, they're freshmen. But if you see what they did in those All-Star games, those are some really good freshmen. So for me, it's about the linebackers in the secondary. Who's it going to be back there? Is it Mish Powell and Savion Riley? Is it Jaden Harris? Is it Markeith Williams? Is it you've got a lot.
Yeah, he played a lot the other day. Did good. Markeith played well the other day.
Great, and that's what you want to see with all the talent in the world that he has. I know his big knock has been his weight, but you know what? If he's talented, if he can go out there and produce and be productive, then I'm okay. It is what it is. If he's not going to put on the weight, whatever. I know the biggest thing is, does it transfer to the NFL? I don't care. I want them to see. I want them to be successful here at the U and win here at Miami. So
front seven's got to be solid, Jazz.
Because, of course.
Because that secondary is kind of iffy. So they've got to be solid. I think, like you mentioned, up front they're going to be really good over the next couple of years with all the edge and the DNs that they've gotten. They could be just nasty. Just keep plugging interior kids in every year, getting 2 marquee interior D tackles, and because they certainly have enough edge and DNs right now, for the future. They got a bunch of them. It's just linebacker's not an easy position to fill, but if they did that, if they could get a group like they did with Quarterman and Pinckney and those guys like that, I mean, they seem to turn the position around for those couple of years. So
they did.
You just need to get that, that trio.
I didn't even mention the guys that are probably going to start inside the CJ Clark and Marley Cook. I didn't even mention those guys. So the depth is there, I think, at the defensive position. So
we'll take it.
I think the linebacker position is going to be the most important there. I think, like you mentioned, Blue, if their front seven is disruptive, it's going to, even though there's lack of depth at the cornerback position, I think it helps them out, right? It gives them an opportunity to play a little tighter and to take more chances.
Little blitz packages and stuff like that that'll, force these guys to throw into a coverage thing.
Right.
And, Yeah, as long as you don't, the only guys that'll get around as a mobile quarterback, and thank God the opening game doesn't have a mobile quarterback.
Well, yeah.
You know, Mertz is really good, but he's not a mobile quarterback. But then they won't use Lagway. Lagway will be, if they go 4-6, he'll be in there in the 11th game.
Right.
But once he gets in there, he ain't coming out.
Yeah.
So I think Miami's in, they're in good shape, but you're right. Front seven is imperative, and I like Popo played pretty well the other day too, but we knew he would.
He's a solid player, man. I mean, they're big kids too. They're already 230.
We stood next to him last year in one of the. I think in that. Then we stand next to him in that. Whatchamacallit that day?
That fall game that we went to.
The Paradise game.
Yeah, we might.
Whatever that's called.
I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah, when they scrimmaged, and he was. I think he was. And I saw him during the summer when at a 7-on-7 when he was doing the chains or refereeing, and I said, "Damn, he was pretty thick."
That's a big kid.
Pretty thick. So
Malik Bryant, another one, right? Malik Bryant, another name.
Oh yeah.
So
Malik is big. He's huge.
He's a big kid. So a lot of talent there. I know some of those.
Wayne's
guys
doing very well.
Might not be back, but a lot of talent there. So we'll see what happens there.
And you know what? And I watched the other day with Jason Taylor, the way he was working with a lot of these kids, and he's relentless in his coaching. If those kids make a mistake, he makes them do it again and again and again, and he's just going on what he was taught. So, right. And he's very competitive.
That's another kid I didn't. That's another kid I didn't mention, right? His son.
He's okay. He was there the other day. I did see Joy Taylor. She came.
Yep, she was there. The whole family was there this weekend.
Yeah, that was because it was Jason's wife's birthday or something.
Gotcha. So I mean, depth is there at the safety position more than the DBs, obviously. So got to see the DBs perform well. So we'll see what happens. Saturday we'll be out there at the scrimmage. Hopefully we'll have some. I'll have some live updates for you guys on what's going down there. Vish, I know you got a pretty busy week as well with buckets, with the new head coach for women's basketball. A lot of transfer portal news from what I see. So I know there's some big news.
Buckets will be on Wednesday. We got tomorrow. We got the F1 show and baseball.
Nice.
You got some new.
Melissa's cutting deals on her own now, huh?
She's got a hoodie line. Yeah, check that out. About the Fans. She's got her hoodie line out there.
Aboutthefans.com. I've got some gear from them. They're cool people over there. Some big names out in the transfer portal now. That kid Youngblood from USF, and some other guys out there. And then on the women's side, new head coach Trisha Cullup. So there's a lot going on in basketball.
Hoops is busy when your season ends a month before everyone else's. You get to the off-season stuff. So we're there.
The national titles tonight
just started like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, UConn's up by a few.
Yep. So I don't even know what channel is it on?
Whatever I got on.
CBS maybe? No.
CBS or TBS?
TBS. It's not on CBS.
Oh, it is on TBS. You're right. I'm here looking at it. Anyways, make sure you check us out. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It's the 5 Reasons Canes Network. We are on there. Twitter is at 6 Rings Canes. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. Canes related, Formula One, baseball sucks.
But we still got the baseball show, and then the team is at FSU this week.
Don't ever say go Jets again, Fresh. Okay, don't ever say that. We like you. All right, you've got your.
That's something we can all agree on. No go Jets.
Yeah, no go Jets around here. All right, leave that somewhere else. Hit the like button. Kermit Russell says absolutely. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Make sure you watch us here every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Blue.
Next week we'll have the spring game wrap up. So.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of a wrap up on Saturday.
And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of activity in the portal after this next weekend. So
a
lot going on here. So you want to stick?
I'm sure Blue will have the
scoop
for that. He'll have the scoop on some of that stuff also. So we'll talk about that and more. Maybe we'll have some.
We didn't even get into the rivals coverage, but we'll do that next week. And
we did. I mean, listen, we can talk about it if you want, man. I don't care. The rivals coverage. It was here in Miami, right?
Yeah, it was at the St. Thomas Aquinas, the only rivals stop in Florida, and they had everybody. And some really good. The young Campbell kid did real well. 2026 Miami commitment did outstanding. He's going to be a beast. Quarterback play was just really good, and there's a lot of interest from the quarterback that I mentioned before from Sanford Seminole and
Clayton.
Clayton. Oh yeah, a lot. He spent a lot of time. Because I'm pretty close with his dad, and right. They love Dawson. They love.
No kidding.
Kid was MVP. Kid was MVP yesterday. He and the kid that's going to Penn State from Miami Central.
Beckham Kritza.
Kritza, yeah. Kritza he doesn't weigh 140 pounds, I swear. It's like 6'5", 140. But he throws the ball real well. He did well. Zach Katz, the young kid that's at Chaminade now, who I'll tell you what, if he could commit to Miami now, he'd do it.
He would. Right.
And that's a 17 kid. So as long as you keep these guys in your corner, running back wise, got a chance to see a couple of the kids that look pretty good. I'll tell you, the guy that's gaining a lot of momentum now is the kid from Chaminade, Derek Cooper, who came from. He was MVP. He's been an MVP everything. Hasn't played a game.
He's a running back, right?
He's a running back, but he's also right now he's 6'1.5". So that's a high target for a running back. He's like Eddie George and Eric Dickerson type of guy. Two kind of big. They had really good linemen. Their offensive linemen were good. What's the name was at Miami camp the other day? He was there because of the camp. So it was good talent, good secondary guys. It was 480 kids.
Wow.
810 for the 2 days.
Jesus.
Yeah, because the Sunday was invited.
Gotcha.
Saturday you could just come from Wendy's and go. But that was it. Yeah, it was a quick recap. But as kids come on and Miami offers them, we'll be able to give you a better insight on them from seeing them at that thing. And I know Miami's in on a lot of those guys. Denarius Gray had a great game.
That's the wide receiver from Chaminade, right?
Yeah. Great day. Yeah, he was clearing away the MVP. And then the other kid, Howard, who's another Chaminade kid. And then Chaminade won the MVP with the first 3 MVPs they awarded, the 2 receivers and Cooper.
Yeah, it looks like the talent hasn't really fallen off there. It looks like they're going to be.
Yeah, and Zach Katz too. So.
And Zach, right? And now they get Zach Katz. So.
And then they just got J. Rock Lopez, the other sophomore kid from True North, who, I think
the kid I'm interested in seeing is Yosei Epinesa.
Oh yeah.
Obviously the younger brother of what is it, AJ Epinesa?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be one of the best defensive linemen in the country in 25. So that's a kid that I know Miami's really going after pretty hard, and I know he likes Miami as well. So that would be a nice opportunity, a nice pickup there for the Canes also. So we'll see. We got a lot of that and more coming up soon. But make sure that you guys, like I said, follow us on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes, and of course on all your Apple Podcasts and right here on YouTube, 5 Reasons Canes Sports, 5 Reasons Canes Network on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the like button. Make sure you check us out. We'll see you guys next Monday, and make sure you watch the rest of the shows this week. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
The 6 Rig Canes Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Canes Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Canes Show. You know.